This is going to be another series on reading and numbers and psychic, and it's a way that numbers actually have the same meanings as words or thoughts. And when somebody understands what the numbers mean, or if somebody were to give you numbers off the top of their mind, you would know what they're thinking or the circumstances around them, or perhaps the circumstances to come. And usually I found it's usually a mixture of all of the above. That some circumstances around them, and the way it also tells the way things progress. So this is very akin to mind reading, but this is my second video on mind reading and psychic and numbers. And I'll explain it so that people understand. You could actually learn to understand what the numbers mean, and when you see them, you'll know exactly what's happening with somebody. Clearly, I don't think this is for everybody. This is for somebody that really is a serious student that wants to do something special, is willing to work a little bit at it, and they'll get a lot at it. But we're going to begin now with some more numbers. Now, if you look at the numbers 14, 1, 4, the 1 represents the sun, and the 4 represents Uranus. And it equals to 5. That's why I have the equal sign down here at 5. So it really is a Mercury vibration. The 5 series is Mercury. And because the 1 is before the 4, it means the person, which is you or the person you're reading, is before other people. They're in front of the public. And it also the 1 also represents Leo and the 4 Uranus, but when you add 1 and 4 together, it brings down to number 5, which is Mercury. So it has a lot to do with communication. It has to do with the public. And if you look at the 14th tarot card of the Rider-Waite deck, it's the Juggler. And it's somebody that deals with the juggling and the public, and there's always some question of some other people's actions or behavior. And there's always some kind of a risk or a change involved. Now, if you took the same numbers, 1, 4, and you made it 4, 1, you have Uranus in front and the sun in the back, which is you, or the person you're reading. It still equals Mercury, because 4 and 1 is 5, whether it's 1 and 4 or 4 and 1. And it puts you behind the scenes. This puts you in front of the public, and when the 1 is behind the 4, it puts you behind the scenes. And that could relate to side jobs, special interests that people get involved with, and situations that they do on the side or part-time or extra. So it has any one of those propensities. If we break down the numbers the way I was showing you with the triangles, you get 41, 5. You go 5 and 1 is 6, and 4 and 1 is 5, and you have a 2 on the bottom. Usually when somebody has a 2, they feel somewhat sacrificed. In other words, the side job or side activity would be a little bit of a burden. But the 56 relates to a partner or a coworker or something that cooperates with you. So I'm giving you different numbers and different combinations and meanings. It might take a little studying, but it really is a great thing. Now, the number 13, the 1 and 3 add up to 4, which is Uranus. Whenever you get 4, everything adding up to 4, it's a little oppositional. Again, 1 is the sun, but it also represents you or the person you're reading, and 3 represents Jupiter, the 3 series. And usually, when somebody's in this cycle, it's a me first cycle, and 1 and 3, 13, relates to a change in place and plans going on. And I'm going to use these numbers later on to show you the abracadabra. And I'll assume at that point that people studied a lot of these numbers and combinations, and they'll understand what I'm saying at that point, I hope. Now, when you have the number 3, 1, which is Jupiter and the sun, which represents you or the person you're reading, the needs of others come first, as I indicated right here. And it's a kind of an isolated or solitary type of thing. And the 31 is also considered medical numbers. And because, again, it's Uranus, it's oppositional. Uranus is always considered oppositional. And it also has some association with Leo or February or Aquarius or August or Leo people. Now, if we took the number 15, again, the 1 represents the sun, but also represents you or the person being read, and 5 represents Mercury. But when we add the 1 and 5, we get 6, which is Venus. That relates to Taurus or Libra people born on the 6th, 15th, or 24th day of any month. And when a person's in a 15 cycle, they communicate well, they get favors and considerations from people. As far as finances, it's the 62, so it's the same old thing. And there's some financial or legal matter going on, or insurance or something like that, or a realignment of finances. That's why we bring it down to the triangle, because it tells us really further information on what's going on. But let's say we had the 51, which is the 5 and the 1 backwards. Now you have Mercury, Sun, and the Sun always represents you. And this is a period of getting ahead or advancing in one's career. At one point it was called the Lincoln number, because Lincoln advanced, got ahead with the Civil War, and then got assassinated. So even though the person's getting ahead, something always surfaces that's either a problem or an adversarial situation. Now, I'm not trying to infer somebody's going to get assassinated, but the point is a lot of times a situation comes up. So when you have 5 and 1 is 6, you get again Venus. It ends up to the same numbers. We always reduce the numbers by addition, or we add the numbers and bring it to its lowest number, if that's the way you want to look at it. But because you have the 67 here, it relates to a change in place and plans going on. Now, if we had the number 16, it's called the Shattered Citadel. If you look at the 16 card of the tarot, it shows a man falling out of a tower with a crown in his hand. Usually, I find, oddly enough, that there's always some problem, worry, concern about a male or somebody associated with a male, or a departure or an absence of a male in some way. Now, it also adds up to 7. 1 and 6 is 7, so we bring it to the lowest number by addition, and it becomes a 7. 1 and 6 is 7, and that's Neptune. So it's a period of introspection, learning, or training. So I put learning right here, but it's training and introspection. Now, if the number was reversed and it was 61, you have Venus and the Sun, which also represents you. The 1 in the numbers, when you come to any numbers like that, represent you yourself, but it's also the planet Leo, because it's part of the 1 series. And 61 basically means that something takes care of itself with a male. It's the exact opposite. 16 is an absence problem, or with a male or somebody associated with a male problem in some way. And 61 is the opposite. Something, you hear some better news, or a male who hasn't been absent returns, or anything like that. So this is some general concepts of numbers, and the people that take the time with this, I'm telling you, you're going to do something amazing.